Hey guys, what's up? Porkchopper here, and I'm back again at the weekend for another video. First off, I would just like to thank everyone for checking out my two latest videos from Thursday on this channel. The first being the Phase ability preview, which I just go over Phase's abilities and my general opinion how I think she'll fit into the game, and the next being my version 40 hero changes, going through all the hero changes. If you checked out those videos, I'm very thankful. The support over the last week or so has been absolutely crazy. If not, you can check them out on this channel if you want to. But anyway, today we're going to be looking at all the card changes that are happening with version 40 being next Tuesday. So I'm going to go into it. The way I'm going to do this kind of video is going to be very sweet and simple. I'm going to talk about the card, and then I'm going to show you the old stats of that card on screen, and then talk about the new stats which will be coming on Tuesday, and then I'm going to give a little bit of an opinion on each card if I think it's necessary, and then at the end I may do an overview, but again I don't want this video to be super long, so I'm just going to jump straight into it. First up isn't cards, but certain stats on cards that have changed. Health per card point has been increased to 60 health from 50 health. Now, this may not seem that much, and technically it isn't. I'm going to show you a card on screen now, probably being Swift Creek, which is a card where you have 50 health, 150 health for an upgrade bonus, and if you put 3 greater healths on, this is what you originally get, but with now being 60 health instead of 50 health, this is what you actually get. The difference isn't that much. I mean, it's pretty much a basic attack middle to late game, so I think it's just a general change, but also with the basic and ability armor. With basic armor, per card point it's been increased to 8 from 7, and ability armor has been increased to 6 from 4. So overall, this is just helping with the time to kill. Time to kill was definitely a bit too quick, not super, but this is slowly going into the right direction, and they're probably slowly going to creep this up to get to the right spot. If you don't remember, on Legacy it was 100 health per card point, which was crazy, so 60 doesn't sound too bad. So now we're going to get into the new changes. Again, I apologise if I say these names pretty badly, it's been a bad day. So Homophage, yeah, I know, that went really well. It's been reworked to be now a universal affinity, costs 6 points, 5% lifesteal and 11 attack speed, and has an active called Berserk. For 6 seconds, gain 44 attack speed and 80 movement speed, but take an additional 15% damage. So this is basically a go big or go home. It costs 50 mana and has a 35-second cooldown. If you want to escape or you want to catch up by the hero, which is the most reason for it, you know, if a hero is really low and they're not going to even turn around to try and damage you, then you can quickly go for 6 seconds to try and kill them with that attack speed and movement speed. But again, it's high risk, high reward. You do gain additional 15 damage on you. Then we have Nanoplasm, which again has now a universal affinity, costs 6 points, 6 power and 60 mana, and has a passive called Spellvamp, one of the very new abilities in the game. This makes it so abilities heal for 20% of the damage dealt to enemy heroes, 5 against minions. So this percentage is interesting. I mean, I always wanted for a long time to have lifesteal for abilities, and this is sort of them introducing it to the game, probably testing it for the new card rework that's going to be happening later in the year. I don't know if this is good or bad. I mean, certain heroes this may be good for. I will test this out. I'll probably do another video on it, saying, you know, what 5 heroes would be really good with Nanoplasm, because this seems very interesting and it's a universal affinity, so most people can use it. Then we have Tainted Magic, which again is now a universal affinity, costs 7 points plus 12 power and 0.3 mana regen, and has the passive Spellburn. Dealing ability damage to enemy heroes applies a damage over time effect that deals ability damage equal to 8% of the target's current health over 3 seconds. This effect cannot stack. Consecutive ability damage instances refresh duration. I mean, if you add Nanoplasm and Tainted Magic on top, they hopefully work together. So say you have gadgets, Seek and Destroy Mine, you hit someone with that, and they will get Nanoplasm, so you'll get health back from that, but also Tainted Magic will have the dot damage to that enemy also, which may even give health back towards that. It seems pretty complicated, and we're going to see, but these two cards cost 6 for Nanoplasm and 7 for Tainted Magic, so they're very costly cards, but I really like these cards, adding some more depth to casters, because right now it's pretty much straight power and a bit of mana, so this adds something different to it. Then they have changed wards to now, like previously with heroes, they now have health instead of pips. So Scout wards have 150 health and Shadow wards now have 225 health, and both take 60% reduced ability damage. The Circlet cards being Circlet of Mana and Health also being changed. The only rework they've done is to make it so the Mana and Health regen are now applied globally, but they do not stack. This is amazing because I always use Circle of Health with my support, so now this is globally, which is amazing. Then we have Armorvore, which is a changed stat to attack speed from attack penetration, and increased mana restored by a basic attack to +6 from +2. It's always been a cool card, but now it's actually been more worthwhile because it was really pointless before. And again, something more interesting. It's from the Fury ability, but maybe someone like Howard could take benefit from it. Then we have Battle Mantra, which increases mana regen when above 50% to 2.4 mana seconds from 1.5 mana per second. So I kind of actually like what they've done with this card. It makes it a bit more worthwhile because I think its Affinity Stream, which they've also changed, was a teeny bit too good, and now they've changed it so Battle Mantra is very different from Affinity Stream, which again we'll get to accept, so I like that adding diversity to these cards. Next we have Blood Catalyst, which increases mana regen to 17.5 seconds from 10 seconds for 10 seconds and removes critically wounded limitation. So basically, if you didn't know, like I said, it consumes 10% of your max mana, and now you gain 17.5 mana regen for 10 seconds. I really like this card. I think it's pretty cool. I always wanted something like this, but it never felt worthwhile, especially for being 6 card points. That's quite expensive. So now with the cooldown of 45 seconds and 10% of your health even, I could see this being quite beneficial. Then we have Charging Brute, which just overall just got a little buff, increased movement speed per stack to 20, movement speed from 10, increased buff duration to 7 seconds from 5 seconds, added ability to move through units during duration. That means you can move through units of minions. I hope this means allied and enemy minions. Again, this card, which I think the only real hero you would use this on was Sparrow. But it felt pointless because I'm like, I would just rather have a Blink Charm in this situation. But now maybe this has made it so it's actually a bit more worthwhile once you get your stacks up, especially late game, once it's easier to wave clear. Then we have Emporium Mask, which again is a very lovely card, a very unique one. It does generally increase the amount of stats granted in all forms. Power increased to 24 from 18, basic armor increased to 14 from 10.5, ability armor increased to 8 from 6, and mana regen increased to 1.2 seconds from 0.9. A card again that has a lot of options, a lot of possibilities, but now actually makes it a bit more worthwhile because I doubt I ever really saw this in the game, but it's actually a really cool card. Everglass has been only reduced from 5 card points to 6 card points, nothing else about it. Font of Rapture has been changed to stats to 6% lifesteal and 6 power from 1.4 health regen to 0.3 health regen and 4% crit. That's the only change they've done to the card. Then we have Hinder Beast, now works on jungle buffs and now includes the green buff in addition to the river buffs. Increased basic attack slow to 10% from 5%. Again, this is a unique card when you're carrying a river buff. On hit with basic attack, it slow targets by 5% for 1.5 seconds. But now of course it includes the green buff, which may be actually pretty good for some junglers like Chimera or Rampage. And also slows targets by 10% instead. So this could be kind of cool. If you grab the green buff as the jungler now, you can maybe jump on a hero, and this may be the difference between a successful gank and a non-successful gank. Then we have Insistent Onslaught. The rework for it has been it reduces active cooldowns by 0.2 seconds per basic attack hit. Pretty cool, different, and again this is something that I've never seen much of this in Paragon, this sort of reduced cooldowns. I like that they're adding a bit more to it in the game. Then we have Infinity Stream, which is the card I was previously talking about when I was talking about Battle Mantra, I think. It's changed the regen value scaler from current mana to missing mana, and increased base regen value to 3.6 mana per second from 2.4. So before, like I said, this card was like, all the current mana you have, it scales with the amount of regen you get, but now it's missing mana. So it depends how much missing mana you have, depends how much mana regen you get, which makes more sense. If you have less mana, you will gain more regen, which that just logically makes sense. Then we have Mad Spore Shot. If you didn't know what that does, it basically within a small AoE does a little damage depending on your player level. Now it has increased the burn radius from 300 to 500, has increased damage to 12 plus 1.5 times player level from 10 plus player level. Just made it a bit more worthwhile. It was an alright ability, and the only heroes I would use on was like Narbash or Steel, which didn't have the greatest wave clear and sometimes would need it, and was kind of cool early game, but late game was pretty pointless. Maybe more interesting now, probably didn't get much loot. Then we have Mending Bloom, a change stat to max mana from health regen, increased mana regen to 6 mana per second from 3 mana per second for 15 seconds to yourself and nearby allies. Again, the card was rather expensive, and the only heroes you would use this on is supports, so making it more worthwhile because supports right now have so many cards to get and don't get that much card experience, so this hopefully should make this card a bit more worthwhile for supports if they want to go down that route. Then we have Nano Drive, grants 100 movement speed for 2.5 seconds, 14 second cooldown, has no costs whatsoever. Really like the idea of this card. The problem is that it does cost 6 card points, but the general idea behind it is a quick initial boost to get you away. Say if you're a Bellica or someone that just wants to quickly get the edge on someone, get closer to someone that doesn't have that mobility, or get away from someone, it can actually be somewhat worthwhile now. Then we have Overflowing Gifts, which changed the stat to max health from mana regen, increased health regen to 9.5 seconds from 6 seconds to yourself and nearby allies. So basically what they did with Mending Bloom as well, they just increased the health regen to make it more worthwhile, as it's an expensive card, and again it only really supports would use it. Purity Sensor now costs 80 mana to cast, and cooldown has increased to 120 seconds from 90 seconds. Purity Sensor was a really good card when Aurora was very strong, to the point where she was pretty much overpowered. A card that's not used much now, but if there's Aurora on your team, this means that she will get her ultimate before you get your Purity Sensor again, so it gives Aurora a bit more love and a chance there to help. You have then Rally the Troops, now costs 50 mana to cast, reduces cooldown to 35 seconds from 120 seconds, which is pretty significant, and increases attack speed buff to 33 attack speed from 22 attack speed. Making this Fin actually more worthwhile. It does cost mana, but again, actually makes it worthwhile. Then we have Rocket Spike. Only thing they've done is reduce the cost to 4 card points from 5 card points. Satori Cloak has increased armor shred duration to 2 seconds from 1.5 seconds. Pretty cool. I really like this unique ability, but again, not many people actually use it, as it is in the Order affinity, so you know it's not as used in carries. But the only carry I think you would use again is Sparrow, but she has a lot more options now for cards, which I really like. Then we have Scorpion Plate, which increases the duration to 10 seconds from 6 seconds, reduced cost to 5 card points to 6 card points, no longer shares a cooldown with Splinker Bark Vest. Then we have good old Shockwave. Man, I remember back in the days in Legacy how good this was. It has been reworked to being active. Now deals 50 damage in a large radius around the hero, slaying enemies by minus 250 movement speed for 3 seconds. It has a 45 second cooldown and now costs 50 mana to cast. So getting it in line with the idea, it has a shorter cooldown, costs actual mana now, and I think this is actually quite significant. It's like a mini ultimate, mini Greystone ultimate. 50 damage isn't that big, but in a large radius around the hero, slowing enemies by 150 movement speed for 3 seconds. In a team fight, that could be massive. I mean, maybe you would use it in Gideon's sense, because you know you ult as Gideon then use this card, but we'll see how it works out. Same with Howitzer, actually, it could be really good for Howitzer there. We'll see how that goes. Then we have Siren Song, which increases the slow magnitude to 60 from 40, reduce slow/speed buff in duration to 3 seconds from 4 seconds. Little nice thing. I think all these cards are pretty much always getting buffs. Then you've got Splinter Bark Vest, increased duration to 10 seconds from 6 seconds, reduces cost to 5 card points for 6 card points, no longer shares a cooldown with Scorpion Plate, which we just talked about. Again, they're cool cards. I don't see the point of them in myself personally. I would rather just build tanky, but again, they're interesting cards, they're cool, I like them, and especially when they're getting buffed, they make them actually worthwhile, which we all want for cards. Then we have Stab Link, which has reduced base health cost to 15% from 20%, which I think is really nice, and removes critically wounded restriction too, but that actually cannot be used if your health would cost your life. So most heroes that would use this card would have very low health. So the idea only costs 15% to 20% is a big bonus, and removing the critically wounded restriction is cool, but you just can't kill yourself with it. Then we have Status Gem, which the rework is now a universal affinity, reduced cost to 5 card points to 7 card points. Really cool. I think it's a kind of card that really sums up what they're trying to do with card. It's a card that pretty much any hero can use, and now making it a universal affinity just benefits every hero because it's a really fun card and high skilled card to use. Then we have Wicked Stigma, which the rework is ability to now a unique passive. Ability hit grants vision for the target for 6 seconds. Thermobond no longer activates when deck is containment field. And then we have Templar's Pearl, reduce a cooldown to 45 seconds from 60 seconds and now costs 50 mana to cast. And finally, we have Traitor's Touch. Increases bonus damage to 5% of current target's health from 3% of current target's health. Pretty nice, little buff, and that does it. Oh my goodness, that was a long one. That was a biggie one there. This may actually be even longer than my actual hero changes video. So I'm going to sum up pretty quickly. I really like the whole idea. They're pretty much buffing every card and making more cards more viable, which we've always wanted, because the lack of card viability in the game has been a big problem pretty much since its launch. There's been so many cards which aren't worthwhile, and making more cards non-affinity based and universal based is really cool, giving a lot more options to a lot more heroes. Affinities I don't think will ever go away. It just means, say if you're intellect, that means you are efficiently able to add mana and damage to your deck better than any other affinity. Same with Fury, you're able to add attack speed, crit, lifesteal better than any other affinity in the game. Order has a lot of support cards that no other one will have in the game. It just helps keep uniques in the affinities, but not too much. Anyway guys, I would just like to thank you very much for watching the whole of the video. If you have, and the last 2 videos I've done, support, like I said, has been incredible on this channel, and it won't stop. I will be doing loads of videos once version 40 comes out in the next few weeks. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.